each other and like have a good time, right? But with that being said, he is one of the, in that camp where he never preps the trigger. He'll tell you, David, that's stupid. For me, I've also trained under Eric Raffel, and Eric Raffel talks about prepping the trigger every single target, disregarding whatever distance you're at. You're prepping the trigger every single time. To which I'm like, Eric, why are you prepping the trigger at a 5-yard target? Because I know where it's going every single time. Okay, these two guys are extremely talented shooters. Eric Raffel is arguably the world's best practical shooter. He wins everything he's ever shooting, right? And then there's Ben, who's a very, very, very talented shooter. They've all won World Shoot. So there's two completely different schools of thought. But in this application, do me a favor and just, you know, tickle my curiosity. Go ahead.
The only question I had on that, right,
Mm-hmm.
is if, like, you own more than one gun, right?
Yes.
And for me, at least, I'm a Glock guy, different triggers.
Mm-hmm.
Every gun will be different. So, and I get it, right? Just work with the gun that you have. But how do you account for the fact that, like, you might run that or you might run a stock Glock?
Yeah.
Right? Are you, like, not prepping the trigger, to me at least, makes it a little more universal. Like, no matter what gun I run, I can just roll through or whatever, versus prepping or trying to figure out where each trigger specifically or for each gun, gets to that, whatever stage is for prepping it.
So, I mean, you just need to get in tune with the equipment that you have and everything that you have.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, all of these fundamentals are going to be able to span all the platforms and all the platforms that you own, right? So when I train Secret Service guys, their service weapon is a Glock, right? So of course I usually shoot a Glock 17 when I train them. I use the same fundamentals, and honestly, I rarely shoot the Glock. The only time I shoot the Glock is when I'm with them. I just have to make sure that I apply a bit more mental fortitude to going, hey, this trigger is not a 1.2 or 1 pound 2 ounce trigger like my Atlas. This trigger is a 3 pound trigger. You know what I'm saying? So that means, yes, if I'm going to run the trigger super hard, and I might not necessarily prep on the wall or stop on the wall each and every time, I still inherently know where it's going to be. But at the same time, I know that it's going to be a little bit harder to pull that trigger straight back at the same speed. I just have to know what I'm running. And adjust. Yep. Yeah. But once again, no matter what, if I pick up your gun or I pick up your gun, I pick up anybody's gun here, within a couple rounds, I'm going to be able to figure out real quickly where the wall is, roughly where the wall is. This is the same concept as like a race car driver. If a race car driver jumps, like a top level race car driver jumps in a Porsche, right? He's going to be able to drive it pretty fast, more effectively than most drivers are going to get in a car, right? But if he's going to race that in let's say a circuit and or multiple race events, he's eventually, after a few, let's say, sessions in the car, he's going to start finding the edge of that car every single time. So that's the point. We supply these fundamentals that can go across all the weapons or all the guns, but then each gun is going to have its own unique situation that you're going to have to apply a little bit different posturing to.
And maybe prepping is not necessarily I'm going to 90% every time. Maybe I'm going to 80%, depending on
what
different gun.
Correct. Yeah. Every case is going to be a little bit different, but as a whole, I would say it might be you're playing in a 2% variable at that point. Okay? Awesome. All right, so what I want you guys to do now, go ahead, load and make ready. And there we go. What I want you guys to do now is go ahead, present the gun on target. All right? Pick a very small spot in the center of that square, the black square. What I want you guys to do now is I want you guys to prep the trigger to the wall. As soon as you guys hear the beep, that gives you permission to pull the trigger, and then I want you to reset the gun and find that wall immediately and be waiting for the next beep. So it'll be beep, 1 round, reset the trigger, prep to the wall, wait for the next beep. All right? Stand by. Stand by. Stand by. Stand by. Stand by. Stand by. I really want you guys to pay attention to your posturing, how you guys are shooting, what everything's looking from the ground up, if you're completely square, if you're in a position that you wouldn't be able to exit on the move out of very effectively, maybe you should reevaluate how you're standing. All right. Now go ahead, continue presenting that gun on the target. I'm going to start giving you beeps, and they will be at random. All right. Stand by. All right. Go ahead, relax. You guys can holster up. You can stay hot though. All right, I do this exercise so that you guys get very in tune, finding the minutia, finding right there where the trigger's about to break. All right, sometimes some of the guys I heard, some rounds go prior to the beep. If you're sitting there resting on the wall, especially with a Glock where it's got a little bit more of that fake wall, if that makes sense, you'll send an accidental round. This is a place where we can practice this. I call it a TD, a training discharge. Okay? This is where you're gonna find where the very limit of that trigger is. Okay? Everybody on the line. Now, before we reload mags, I want to go in the complete opposite direction. What I want you guys to do is present the gun on target. I want you to have your finger ever so slightly off of the trigger face. All right? So go ahead, present the gun on target. Your finger is going to be ever so slightly off of the trigger face. Okay? At the beep, you're going to push through that trigger as hard and as fast as you possibly can. And I want you to observe what the gun does. I want you to try to observe what the sights do. If we all know how to call our shots, we'll be able to observe how this affects the gun, and we're going to do our damnedest to try to counteract it with more support hand pressure. Okay? This is typically how most of our shooting occurs. Is going to be running the gun, running the trigger extremely hard, and trying our damnedest to keep the gun in the same place as possible. All right? This is a little bit more of an exploratory mode, if that makes sense. Go ahead, present the gun on target. At the beep, stand by. Stand by. Stand by. Now I'm just going to give you random beeps. Stand by. All right, go ahead, unload, show clear. Did you do that on purpose?
Do what on purpose?
That?
No.
All right, nice job. All right, guys, once everybody's unloaded, show clear, go ahead, grab some pasters, or go ahead, holster up, grab some pasters.
How do I paste that?
I got it.